Man, I'm totally burnt out after that canoeing contest, I said, wiping the sweat from my forehead. I agree, Becky, Quinn Sandstrom answered. But we won against the boys. Man, that feels great. You bet it does. We girls are 1,000 times better at kayaking than those dumb boys, I said, smiling arrogantly. This was my first time at Camp Runebrook, and I got to say, Camp Runebrook was the best summer camp in all of Wisconsin. The camp had everything, and when I say everything, I totally mean everything. The camp had everything from canoeing and water gun fights to scavenger hunts and candy treasure hunts. It even had a small water park. How cool isn't that? Actually, I'm not from Wisconsin. I'm from a small rural town called Antcord, Minnesota, but I've always dreamed of going to a fun summer camp. So when I heard about this exciting summer camp in Wisconsin, I signed up right away. And then I found out something that made my heart practically explode. My best friend forever, Quinn Sandstrom, was going to Camp Runebrook too. Nothing could ruin my joy now, I thought, but I should have known better. At good old Camp Runebrook, there was a 13-year-old girl named Dorothy. Dorothy Doherty. Oddly enough, Dorothy Doherty looked exactly like Dorothy Gale. You know, the main character from L. Frank Baum's children's literature book, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Just like Dorothy Gale, Dorothy Doherty had dark brown hair tied in 2 long braids, and she even wore the same kind of silver shoes that Dorothy Gale wears in the book. She even had that cheerful Kansas accent, the kind that made you want to trust her. Let's just say Dorothy Doherty wasn't exactly the world's most normal girl. Actually, she might have been the weirdest person I'd ever met. She spent most of her time talking to herself, and not just talking, arguing, like full-on debates with herself. And when she wasn't doing that, she was fighting with the furniture in the dining hall. Yup. You heard that right. The furniture. Raise your hand if you, who reads this, think that Dorothy seemed more than just a little insane. But what I didn't know was that Dorothy Gale hid a dark secret, a terrifyingly dark secret. It all started during a violently stormy afternoon. Dodgeball was on the schedule, until the violent storm crashed the party. The counselors canceled the game, leaving us stuck inside with nothing to do but listen to the rain and each other. I had braved one of the outhouses out in the middle of the forest. That's right. No regular bathrooms here, just stinky old outhouses. I'd never been so glad to wash my hands in my entire life. I bolted through the trees, rain pelting me like tiny icy needles. Suddenly I heard it. Someone calling my name. "Rebecca Christensen," a voice shouted. "Rebecca Christensen." "Come into my cabin. It's so warm and cozy in here." I spun around and saw Dorothy Doherty standing on the porch of her little wooden cabin, grinning like she'd been waiting just for me. I didn't want to go inside, not for $50,000. But I was soaked to the bone and freezing, and before I could think twice, I found myself stepping through her cabin door. The cabin looked small and harmless at first, but the moment I stepped onto the porch, a shiver ran down my spine. The wooden boards creaked under my feet, and the wind whistled through cracks in the walls like it was whispering secrets. Inside, the air was damp and musty, with a faint, sour smell that made my stomach twist. Shadows stretched across the room, twisting in the corners as if they had a life of their own. A crooked chair sat in the middle of the floor, and a lantern flickered, casting ghostly shapes on the walls. Every creak and groan of the cabin made me jump, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone. "Welcome to my home, sweet home," Dorothy said, her Kansas drawl stretching every word like taffy. "Sweet home, Alabama, or should I say, sweet home, Wisconsin." The way she grinned made me take a tiny step back. Something about her voice, cheerful and twang, didn't quite match the creepy little cabin around her. Home, home on the range where the moose and the purple cats play, where seldom is a discouraging word and the skies are not fluffy, all die," Dorothy belted out, singing a very unusual version of the famous folk song, Home on the Range. Her voice bounced off the cabin walls, echoing in a way that made me wrinkle my nose. The moose, the purple cats, and what was with the skies not being fluffy? I wasn't sure whether to laugh, scream, or run for the door. "Would you like to meet my pal Toto?" Dorothy asked, her grin stretching from ear to ear. "Who's Toto?" I asked, my eyebrows shooting up in confusion. "He's my good boy," Dorothy said, still grinning. "In other fun words, he's my Siberian husky." "Did you bring a dog to the summer camp?" I practically shouted, my voice echoing off the cabin walls. "Are you insane? Dogs aren't allowed at camp." "Like I didn't know that," Dorothy answered. "The camp counselor's gonna kill ya," I shouted. "Oh my gosh, don't be so darn dramatic," Dorothy said, rolling her eyes from side to side. She held up a dog leash right in front of my face. "Ain't he cute? Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy?" she gushed, petting something I couldn't even see. Dear reader, Dorothy Doherty was living proof that even kids could be completely, utterly lunatics. And not the cute, harmless kind. The full-blown, make you wonder how she survived even one day kind. "Let's play the good old fetch the stick game," Dorothy said, shoving a stick into my hands like it was completely normal. "Okay," I muttered, blinking at her in confusion. "But seriously, Dorothy, you really need some help. Let me call 911 for you. They'll send an ambulance." I threw the stick as far as I could. At first, nothing happened. Then, splish, splash. A cold, wet sensation hit my face. Someone was licking me, and something heavy was bouncing on my belly like it was using me as a trampoline. I scrambled back, blinking, but there was no dog to be seen. No fur, no paws, no nothing. Toto actually existed, but he was invisible. At least, invisible to me. And right now, invisible dogs were way scarier than normal ones. Dorothy laughed. She squatted down next to the invisible dog, petting his head. "That's a good boy. That's a good boy," she laughed. She stood up and handed me the stick again. "Do it again." "He loves it," Dorothy shouted, grinning from ear to ear. I threw the stick. Immediately I heard barking. Bark, bark, and then splish, splash. Something invisible lunged at me, drenching my face in icy, slobbery drool. "Yuck!" Dorothy rolled on the wooden floor, laughing so hard that tears flew from her eyes like a fountain gone completely mad. The invisible dog bounced over to her, licking her face with the same slobbery enthusiasm. "Stop it! Stop that, Toto," Dorothy giggled. "I love you, Toto, but do you have to drench me in drool for it?" Dorothy stood up. "Do it again," she said, still using that cheerful Kansas accent. I was about to say yes, but then I noticed something. The rain had stopped and everyone else was out on the field, playing baseball. I loved baseball. My heart practically leapt. "I don't want to play with your drooling dog anymore," I said. "I want to go play baseball with the other kids." Dorothy's smile faltered and her eyes looked almost sad. "Just one more time," she pleaded, her voice small. I shook my head. "I want to play baseball. Besides, your invisible dog is creeping me out. Can you at least join me in a game I made up all by myself?" Dorothy asked, her grin returning, a little too cheerfully. I groaned and rolled my eyes. "What kind of game?" I said, unamused. "It's called Catch the Food," she explained. "I usually play this game when Toto is hungry." I groaned again. "Fine," I said reluctantly. "Awesome!" Dorothy yelled, sprinting toward the cabin door. But before she left, she grabbed a jar filled with colorful, tasty-looking sprinkles. I followed her, my stomach twisting. The sun was shining again. The sky was bright blue. Not a cloud was in sight. The perfect weather for a good old round of baseball, not for playing some dumb, sticky-catching game with a creepy, invisible Siberian husky. I followed Dorothy. Step by step, deeper and deeper into the spooky woods we went. The trees loomed above us, their branches swaying. Somewhere nearby I could hear leaves rustling, and maybe a faint bark. Or was that just my imagination? Suddenly Dorothy stopped. She spun around to face me. "All right, what happens now?" I asked, bored and a little nervous. Dorothy grinned. Her grin stretched wider than I thought possible, almost like it could split her face in half. But something felt wrong. Way wrong. That smile was a little too happy, a little too sinister for a friendly grin. Without warning, a strange tingling sensation crawled over my skin. My arms and legs felt stiff, heavy, like they weren't even mine anymore. I tried to scream, but my voice sounded tiny and muffled. In what felt like seconds, my body started shrinking, folding in on itself. My arms and legs compressed, my fingers and toes squished together, and my chest felt like it was melting into itself. I tried to move, to stop it, but I couldn't. When it finally stopped, I had become a giant, glistening, meaty dog bone standing in the middle of the forest. I could feel every bump and groove of the bone as if it were my own body. A demonic grin appeared on Dorothy's face. You know, that kind of grin only the devil himself could grin. She approached me, squatted down in front of me. Then she laughed. "What do you think of your new body, lil' Miss Bonehead?" she asked sadistically. "To be completely honest, I think you look so much cuter as a meaty dog bone than a human girl." I glared angrily at Dorothy. "What's the meaning of this?" I yelled. "I don't want to be a dog bone. Turn me into a human at once." Dorothy pressed her face against mine. "That won't happen, Miss Bonehead," Dorothy said, her eyes gleaming with pure mischief. "My dog needs his food. Dogs get hungry too. Please don't tell me you didn't know that." I wiggled helplessly as a meaty dog bone, glaring at her in disbelief. "You can't. You just can't," I squeaked, my voice barely audible. "I'm a human." Not some snack for a creepy, invisible dog." Dorothy just laughed mockingly. "Oh, you're going to be very useful, lil' Miss Bonehead," Dorothy said. "And now it's time to play my self-invented game." Dorothy stood up. Then she pointed at me. "Run, run away, lil' rabbit. Run away before the dog gets ya," she sang in a tauntful sing-song voice. Toto began growling like a demonic monster. I started to run. Behind me, I could hear Toto give chase. "Please, please, Dorothy." "Don't let him hurt me," I yelled. Tears rolled down my hardened face. Dorothy just laughed at me, showing zero empathy or remorse for her cruel action. Instead, she began singing a twisted version of that old song, "Run, Rabbit, Run," recorded by Flanagan and Allen in 1932. "Run, Becky, run, Becky, run, run, run. Don't give the good boy his fun, fun, fun. Chomp, chomp, chomp. Toto's teeth go snap." Soon little Becky's trapped in one big nap. "Run, Becky, run. Becky, run, run, run. Soon little Becky'll be dead and gone, gone, gone." Her voice bounced through the trees and mixed with the invisible barking. My heart, or whatever that felt like inside a bone, hammered. I knew she meant every horrible word, and as the shadow of something big and invisible fell across me, I realized I had to think faster than I ever had before. Before I could even plan my next move, a cold, invisible force slammed into me. Toto had me in his invisible jaws. I bounced helplessly, twisting and flailing, but there was nowhere to go. "Ha ha ha ha." Dorothy's laugh echoed through the trees, high-pitched and cruel. She clutched her sides, tears of laughter streaking her face. "That's my good boy. Nothing escapes him, especially not lil' Bonehead Becky." I squeaked, wiggled, and thudded helplessly, my meaty bone body completely trapped. The invisible paws pressed me down, and the shadow around me seemed to grow darker, swallowing all hope of escape. Dorothy squatted down, leaned down close, her face twisting into that impossibly wide, evil grin. "Don't worry, Becky. This is just the beginning of our little games. He loves a good chase, and I love watching." Dorothy clapped her hands. "Dinner time, enjoy your food, Toto," she said loudly, clapping her hands like crazy. Toto sank his teeth into me. The last thing I heard before everything faded to black in front of my eyes was Dorothy singing her self-invented, twisted version of that 1930s song, "Run, Rabbit, Run. Now, little Becky, you'll be dead and gone, gone, gone. Now my good boy Toto will have some fun, fun, fun. I'll just stand her and watching, as happy as I can be. Watching you getting mutilated fills me with joyful glee. Chase around the trees, bounce, twist, and hop. No matter where you hide, little bone, you cannot stop. Snap, snap, bite, bite. Oh, the fun's just begun. Run, Becky, run, Becky, run, run, run. Laugh, laugh, giggle, laugh, don't even try to flee. Toto loves his snacks, and I love watching thee. Round and round you spin, I clap and sing with cheer. You're my favorite little game, my tiny bone to fear.